How Elin Nordegren rebuilt her life after Tiger Woods' scandal. This is the story of Elin Nordegren, the woman who stood beside Tiger Woods during his greatest triumphs and then endured one of the most public betrayals in sports history. After their divorce exploded into worldwide headlines, she vanished from public view, and what happened next caught almost everyone off guard. Most people assumed she would fade into obscurity or become a cautionary tale about celebrity marriages. The truth turned out to be far more interesting and far more controlled, long before tabloids plastered her face across covers. Elin lived a quiet, disciplined life in Stockholm, Sweden. She was born on January 1, 1980, into a family that valued intellect, work ethic, and privacy. Her mother, Barbro Holmberg, built a serious career in Swedish politics and later served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy. Her father, Thomas, worked as a radio journalist and foreign correspondent, often traveling abroad on assignments that kept him away from home. Growing up around politics and journalism meant you learned fast how public narratives get built and how quickly they can turn. In that household, certain values sank in early and stayed there: privacy, self-control, and doing the work without needing applause. Privacy mattered deeply, and attention-seeking had no place there. Unlike young women drawn toward celebrity and the spotlight, Elin preferred the background where she felt safe. She wasn't chasing status. She wasn't building a public persona. She was building a life. She studied, worked part-time to support herself, and occasionally modeled to cover expenses when money got tight. A few Swedish magazines featured her in local photo spreads, but modeling never became a serious ambition. It was work, not a dream. Her journey to the United States happened almost by accident, the kind of chance encounter that quietly changes your whole life. After finishing high school, she worked at a clothing store in Sweden, earning modest wages and living a modest routine. That's where she met Mia Parnevik, whose husband Jesper played professional golf on the international circuit. Mia saw something in Elin immediately: warmth, reliability, and a calm trustworthiness, and offered her a job as a nanny for the Parnevik children. Elin accepted without much hesitation. Florida became her new home almost overnight, and the glamorous world of professional golf became her unexpected new backdrop. Jesper Parnevik moved in elite circles most people never glimpse, traveling to tournaments and mixing with the biggest names in the sport. Through that close-knit community of players, caddies, and families, Elin found herself around American sports celebrities whose faces she recognized, and one name stood out above all others, the name that would change everything about the life she'd carefully built: Tiger Woods. The fairy tale romance. At that moment, Tiger dominated golf like no one before him. Majors already hung on his wall, trophies earned through brutal practice and rare talent. A billion-dollar brand expanded around his name, sponsors lining up to attach themselves to his image of excellence and discipline. The sports world treated him like royalty. When he walked into a room, everyone felt it. When Tiger first noticed Elin at a tournament event, other golfers had already taken interest in the beautiful Swedish nanny who seemed refreshingly unimpressed by wealth and fame. Several players tried. None of them made a lasting impression. Tiger did. But here's the twist. Elin wanted absolutely nothing to do with him at first, and she made it clear. Jesper Parnevik later confirmed she had strong opinions about avoiding the chaos that followed top-tier athletes: paparazzi, tabloid rumors, strangers watching every move. Her quiet life back in Sweden hadn't prepared her for public scrutiny. Tiger pursued her anyway, with the same determination he brought to golf. It reportedly took months of persistence, multiple invitations, and real charm before she agreed to a single date. After that first date, everything moved faster than either of them probably expected. Quiet dinners at secluded restaurants turned into private getaways at exclusive destinations, and those escapes turned into one of the most watched relationships in all of sports. Media tracked their appearances, photographers hunted stolen moments, and speculation about their future filled magazine pages. The relationship wasn't just theirs anymore, it was treated like public property. In 2003, during a trip to South Africa while Tiger competed, he proposed at the Shamwari Game Reserve, known for secluded beauty and wildlife roaming the landscape. Against that backdrop, he asked her to marry him. She said yes, and the fairy tale looked like it was writing itself. October 2004 brought their wedding day on the Caribbean island of Barbados. Sandy Lane Resort hosted the ceremony, widely viewed as one of the most expensive and exclusive venues in the world. The guest list read like a curated mix of celebrity and sports royalty. Dozens of security guards worked the property, keeping onlookers away and media helicopters at bay. Despite enormous interest, cameras captured nothing. Guests signed confidentiality agreements. The event stayed sealed, a grand spectacle wrapped in secrecy. For Elin, it was the first clear lesson of the life she had married into. Maximum attention on the outside, maximum lockdown on the inside, life in the spotlight. They settled into a massive estate in Windermere, Florida, designed to keep the outside world at a comfortable distance. Private docks offered access without public interference. Advanced security monitored entrances and exits. Luxury filled the sprawling rooms. The home became a fortress of privacy in a world that desperately wanted to see inside. Every room, every routine, every crack in the perfect picture. And that's when the contrast between husband and wife became impossible to ignore. Tiger remained as visible as ever, and as his dominance continued, he became even more public. Victories kept coming, endorsements multiplied. His global empire expanded through new partnerships. His face appeared everywhere, billboards, magazines, broadcasts, always projecting that cultivated image of discipline and excellence. Elin chose the opposite path. As his fame intensified, she retreated further. Interviews held no appeal, and public appearances became rare events she approached with reluctance. Even as the media called them the golden couple of professional sports, she stayed almost entirely hidden from cameras and reporters. Entertainment outlets begged for access and offered serious money for even a simple conversation about her marriage. She declined politely and firmly over and over again. Their first child arrived in June 2007, a daughter, Sam Alexis Woods. Elin gave birth the day after Tiger finished second at the US Open, and he rushed back from the tournament to be with her. 2 years later, in February 2009, their son Charlie Axel Woods was born, completing what looked, at least from a distance, like the perfect American family. To outsiders, everything seemed ideal. 2 healthy children with every advantage imaginable. A father dominating his sport while earning hundreds of millions. A mother choosing family over fame, prioritizing children over magazine covers. They vacationed in the Bahamas at exclusive resorts and made carefully selected public appearances that reinforced their wholesome image. But the visibility was controlled. There were no reality shows documenting their daily lives. No social media accounts offering glimpses into their home or routines. Even when they appeared in public, it felt curated, just enough to reinforce the image, never enough to reveal the real dynamic. But cracks formed beneath the polished surface. Behind the closed doors of Windermere, Elin struggled with the weight of being married to a living legend whose fame grew larger every year. She missed anonymity with an ache that never fully faded. Shopping without photographers, walking through a park without strangers snapping pictures, having normal conversations without someone nearby hoping to overhear something newsworthy. Life beside Tiger meant even mundane details could become headlines. A grocery run could trigger speculation. A dinner with friends could spark rumors. That constant pressure wore her down, grinding against everything she naturally preferred. Cracks beneath the surface. By the late 2000s, Tiger had cemented his position as one of the most dominant athletes in history, not just in golf. Records fell, and he seemed to rewrite what was possible. Endorsements followed him everywhere, tying his image to products from luxury watches to sports drinks to financial services. Nike made him a global ambassador. Gillette ran him in primetime commercials. Billion-dollar brand associations latched onto the persona he had built. Discipline, focus, relentless pursuit of excellence. He became something bigger than an athlete, almost a corporate institution in human form. But maintaining that flawless image cost more than most people realized. People close to golf noticed subtle shifts that became harder to ignore: erratic schedules, strange excuses for solo trips, and a growing emotional distance between Tiger and Elin that friends noticed in real time. Something felt off. The aura of invincibility that once surrounded Tiger began to show hairline fractures. Physical strain compounded everything. Knee surgeries took a toll, each one bringing months of rehabilitation and uncertainty. The most significant surgery came in 2008. after Tiger won the US Open, while later reports said he was playing with what was essentially a broken leg. The pain must have been excruciating, yet he pushed through to claim victory anyway. As the years wore on, competing at peak level depended increasingly on medication to manage chronic pain that never fully eased. Later reports suggested he became more reliant on painkillers, drugs that disrupted sleep and amplified stress. Chronic insomnia allegedly plagued him, filling nights with restlessness and isolation while everyone else slept. That toxic mix, emotional exhaustion, physical agony, and the suffocating weight of perfection, created the conditions for the choices that followed. Under pressure so intense it blurred his judgment, Tiger convinced himself secrecy was the only way to survive. The breaking point arrived on November 27, 2009, Thanksgiving weekend. The Woods family gathered at their Windermere home for what should have been a peaceful holiday. What happened in the early morning hours changed everything. The night everything collapsed. Around 2:30 a.m., while the neighborhood slept, Tiger crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant and then a tree, stopping just feet from his own driveway. Early local reports treated it like a minor accident, but the details spiraled within hours as reporters dug deeper. Multiple sources reported that earlier that evening, Elin discovered suspicious text messages on Tiger's phone while he was out of the room, alleged exchanges between her husband and another woman. When she confronted him, a heated argument erupted. Elin demanded answers about the texts, the woman, and what else he might be hiding. Tiger reportedly tried to leave rather than face it. In the chaos, reports claimed Elin grabbed a golf club and smashed the SUV's rear window as he drove away down the driveway. Neighbors heard the crash and rushed outside. They found Tiger unconscious beside the wrecked vehicle, with Elin nearby in obvious distress. Emergency responders arrived quickly and transported him to a hospital. Police statements in the days after stayed vague, avoiding details that might suggest what really happened. But tabloids chasing rumors of infidelity dug deeper than official sources wanted. And then women began coming forward, one after another. Waitresses, nightclub hostesses, women from cities across the country, all claiming affairs with Tiger during his marriage, some lasting years, others brief encounters. Some women produced voicemails and text messages as evidence, recordings, screenshots, receipts that were hard to dismiss. Others sold their stories to tabloids hungry for scandal, paid for exclusive interviews about the fallen sports icon. The number of alleged affairs kept growing, reaching into double digits. Media crisis didn't even cover it. Major outlets led broadcasts with every development. Every detail of Tiger's secret life, solid or thinly sourced, was dissected and broadcast worldwide. The story wasn't just that he cheated, it was that the most carefully managed athlete brand in modern sports suddenly looked like a lie. Sponsors fled as the scale became clear. Accenture dropped him after 6 years. Gillette scaled back his presence. Gatorade quietly pulled the custom Tiger Focus drink from shelves. Deals that once felt untouchable suddenly looked toxic, and companies moved fast to protect themselves. The man who once embodied discipline and trust now represented deception, hypocrisy, and broken promises. His carefully constructed image lay in ruins, and the fall was public, fast, and humiliating, exactly the opposite of the control he had always projected. And what made the fallout uniquely devastating wasn't only the infidelity, it was the almost incomprehensible gap between Tiger's public persona and his private reality, a narrative built over decades, collapsing in real time before a global audience that watched with shock, disappointment, and something darker. Silence as strength. February 2010 brought Tiger's attempt at rehabilitation, a carefully worded apology, and a press conference that felt more like corporate crisis management than genuine remorse. He admitted he had let down his family, expressed what he called deep regret, and announced an indefinite break from professional golf. For a man defined by routine and relentless competition, stepping away seemed unthinkable. Golf moved on without its biggest star. By the end of 2010, Tiger failed to win a single tournament for the first time since turning professional. His world ranking plummeted from number 1 to number 58 within 12 months, a fall that felt impossibly steep for someone who once seemed invincible. Through all of it, Elin said absolutely nothing, and that silence wasn't weakness, it was control. No interviews with sympathetic journalists. No angry statements through lawyers. No public appearances designed to signal her emotions or her next move. The woman who avoided fame from the beginning refused to engage with the media machine now, even as the world begged for her perspective. News outlets speculated endlessly. Would she file for divorce or try to rebuild the marriage? Was she being paid to stay silent? Were worse revelations still coming? She appeared in public occasionally. School events, trips to Sweden where photographers had more trouble tracking her. But her composure never visibly cracked. She never gave the media the dramatic moment they wanted. Her silence became symbolic, a stark contrast to the noise surrounding her. In a culture obsessed with scandal and public revenge, where tell-all interviews and dramatic payback are treated like entertainment, her refusal to participate deepened the respect many observers felt for her restraint. But admiration couldn't save the marriage. Trust had shattered so completely and so publicly that reconciliation seemed impossible. Elin reportedly moved into another home temporarily, desperate for space and for ways to shield her young children from the chaos. Media crews camped outside her neighborhood. Photographers followed her car. She still gave them nothing. The divorce and its aftermath. August 2010 brought the official end of their marriage, less than a year after Tiger's world imploded. Elin filed through attorneys without the drama that usually comes with celebrity separations of this size. No grand press conference, no theatrical courtroom showdown, no tabloid-fed legal war. Their attorneys released a brief joint statement confirming the divorce was final. They signed a custody agreement focused on Sam and Charlie's well-being and stability, not on scoring public points. Reports from sources close to the negotiations estimated the settlement at around $100 million, potentially making it one of the most expensive celebrity divorces in American history. Neither side confirmed details, but the media fixated on money anyway, spinning endless speculation about what she secured. Headlines painted her in contradictory ways: a quiet victim who deserved sympathy, or a brilliant strategist who extracted maximum value from a nightmare. Tabloids tracked her supposed next moves and romantic future. They shared custody, splitting time with Sam and Charlie between two homes. From the start, Elin's priority looked like stability for her kids, not financial flexing or public vindication. Paparazzi pursued her relentlessly after the divorce. Beaches, parking lots, grocery trips, playgrounds. Ordinary moments were published like they contained hidden meaning, with magazines dissecting her face for clues. Was she smiling? Did she look exhausted? Had she lost weight? Was she moving on? Elin eventually broke her silence once. In a People magazine interview, her first and only detailed public statement. She admitted feeling completely blindsided by the revelations about Tiger's affairs, having never suspected anything was wrong during those years when he was deceiving her. "I'm so embarrassed that I never suspected," she told the magazine with obvious pain. "For the past 3.5 years, when all this was going on, I was home a lot more with the pregnancies and the children and my studies." She continued with raw honesty that must have been difficult to share publicly. "How could I not have known anything? The word betrayal isn't strong enough to describe what I felt. I felt like my whole world had fallen apart completely. It seemed that my world, as I thought it was, had never actually existed at all. I felt embarrassed for having been so thoroughly deceived by someone I trusted completely. I felt betrayed by many people around me who must have known or suspected, and yet she refused to live in hatred." Working toward forgiveness remained her stated goal, however difficult and distant that destination seemed. "Forgiveness takes time," she explained thoughtfully. "It is the last step of the grieving process, and I'm working toward it." Rebuilding from the ground up, Elin could have vanished completely, and no one would have blamed her. For someone who never wanted fame, disappearing into comfortable obscurity with her children would have been the obvious move. Instead, she quietly rebuilt her life from the foundation up, without cameras, headlines, or revenge. Not for the public, not to win the story, for herself. Her next move surprised almost everyone. She enrolled full-time at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, committing to an undergraduate degree and a routine that had nothing to do with tabloid cycles. While other high-profile ex-wives launched clothing lines, reality shows, or memoirs, Elin went to class like an ordinary student. Psychology became her focus, a field that resonated with what she had lived through. She attacked coursework with discipline. showing up consistently on a campus filled with students young enough to barely remember the scandal. In 2014, she earned her bachelor's degree in psychology with a 3.96 GPA, finishing at the top of her class. The college recognized her with the Outstanding Senior Award, honoring both academic excellence and her contribution to the campus community. At graduation, she gave a brief speech about resilience, second chances, and gratitude for growth in a place that valued learning over celebrity. It was a quiet but powerful transformation, no longer a wife of story, but an achiever with her own voice and purpose. That degree was more than paper on a wall. It gave her tools to process trauma and think about emotional well-being in a way that would shape her life. Real estate became her other passion. She had a keen eye for design and architecture, and she turned it into serious ventures. In 2011, she bought a $12 million oceanfront mansion in North Palm Beach, Florida. But she didn't just move in and enjoy the view. She demolished the structure and rebuilt from scratch around her own vision, Swedish-inspired minimalism blended with coastal Florida luxury. In 2020, she sold the transformed property for $28.6 million, more than double her investment, and one of the biggest residential sales in Palm Beach County that year. It wasn't luck, it was patience, planning, and the same discipline she'd always shown, just pointed at something that belonged to her. Where she is today, love found Elin again, but this time without the fanfare. Around 2017, she began a relationship with Jordan Cameron, a former NFL tight end who played for the Cleveland Browns and later the Miami Dolphins. Like Elin, Jordan stepped away from the spotlight deliberately, retiring earlier than expected because of concerns about multiple concussions. He had a calm, grounded demeanor that fit her temperament. Neither of them seemed interested in media coverage. Their son was born in 2019, though the news only surfaced after photographers spotted Elin with a baby bump at one of her older children's soccer games. Even then, there was no official announcement confirming the pregnancy or birth. Jordan later addressed it briefly in an interview, simply saying they were enjoying raising their child in a peaceful, private environment away from cameras and speculation. The relationship has stayed consistently low-key. No red carpets, no public declarations, no magazine spreads about their home. Just parenting and building a life far from the noise that once consumed her. Her co-parenting relationship with Tiger Woods evolved as well. After an initial period of tension and distance, both parents made their children's well-being the top priority. They now attend Sam and Charlie's sporting events together, sitting near each other and speaking cordially during breaks. Their interactions look genuinely friendly rather than forced, suggesting real healing over time and a choice to stop reliving the past in front of their kids. Tiger later acknowledged that Elin remained a tremendous mother, and that both worked to put the kids first despite everything. Sam and Charlie are teenagers now, and appear well-adjusted. Charlie in particular has followed his father into competitive golf, showing enough talent to compete seriously at the junior level. Elin regularly attends his tournaments, cheering quietly from the sidelines without trying to draw attention or steal focus from her son. Today, Elin Nordegren's life looks nothing like the marriage years or the nightmare that followed. She owns multiple Florida properties and lives in a stable, family-oriented home, focused on raising her children and building the calm environment she always wanted for them. She appears publicly when necessary, but she never courts media attention. People who know her describe a fiercely private woman who found real peace after surviving storms that would have crushed most people. Quiet peace defines her life now, in a way that seemed impossible when her face was on every cover and her pain was treated like entertainment. She didn't erase the past. She built around it, then moved forward anyway. The storm passed, and what remains is a life built on her own terms. Quietly, deliberately, and without asking anyone's permission. The woman once plastered across tabloids is now almost absent from public conversation, which is exactly what she wanted long before any of this happened. And maybe that's the strongest ending. Going from being defined by someone else's choices and betrayals to building something meaningful for yourself and your children requires strength most people never have to find. Elin found it, not for revenge, not for fame, but simply to become the person she always wanted to be. If you strip away the celebrity noise, what's left is a straightforward story of discipline, boundaries, and rebuilding. What do you think about how Elin rebuilt her life after everything she endured? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed hearing this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video like this one.